Hey guys, Prithvi here, and welcome to the Sports Box. And as we did discuss in the previous video about Chelsea, I think we're going to do a lot more series about Chelsea as I personally am a big fan, and I would really like to voice my personal opinions on the Chelsea matches. And do let us know if you like what we've been doing so far. So, again, as I did speak in the previous video about Chelsea and the need for Chelsea to actually start playing the youth in the starting 11. I think that is what happened yesterday, and the result spoke for itself. 3 goals, one assisted by Callum Hudson-Odoi, the second one assisted by Ruben-Loftus Cheek, and the third a screamer from long range from Ruben-Loftus Cheek from outside the box. I think this was a complete performance, and also not to forget Andreas Christensen, who was really solid at the back, and Chelsea did keep a clean sheet as well. So kudos to him as well. So it's very important that we discuss, the performances of the players one by one. Obviously, Eden Hazard was a star man again. He was brilliant. He was taking on players for fun. The goal that he scored was absolutely sublime. But but that's something which we've been used to, and probably Hazard won't stay for the next season. As things have been, as speculation suggests that there is a good chance that Eden Hazard may not be a Chelsea player next year. As much as it pains me, I know that he's done a lot for the club, and if at all it is his wish to leave the club, I would be more than happy to part ways with him. But what is more important is that there are other players who are ready to take his place. And I think Callum Hudson-Odoi obviously is not going... You can't compare him to Hazard. Hazard is like one of the best players in the world. But we have Callum Hudson-Odoi who has the potential at least to be one of the best players in the world. So what is very important now that a player like Callum Hudson-Odoi gets a regular run in the games at least till the end of the season, so that by the next season when he plays a pre-season and he's ready to start the first Premier League game, irrespective of whether we have Sarri at the club or not, because his job is also under a lot of threat. And I don't know, personally I would want him to stay at Chelsea because I think we need some consistency, and he's done a lot of good things as well. I think there are a lot of players who've improved per se, especially the young players. I think the Callum Hudson-Odoi we saw against Manchester City in the Community Shield, and the Callum Hudson-Odoi we've been seeing through the season, there has been an evolution of sorts. The defensive work that he put in yesterday, I was really impressed by the defensive work he put in. I didn't expect a winger to, in the 93rd minute, to come back from the left wing and put in a tackle and win the ball, wherein the game is done and dusted and you're almost sure that you're going to win the game. And the attack wasn't even something which was very dangerous, but the very fact that he had the intensity, he had the intent, and he had the passion to actually track back in the 92nd minute of the game was what stood out for me. Apart from the fact that he was really brilliant on the right wing, he was playing like a traditional winger per se, because he was really close to the touchline, and he was an outlet for Chelsea, because Chelsea, the game that Chelsea plays centered through a Hazard, and Hazard generally tends to play on the left wing. So a lot of players were actually crowding him, and he used to be the outball for Hazard. And even in the goal which Giroud scored, which was assisted by Callum Hudson-Odoi, Hazard put in that ball to Hudson-Odoi in space. He was one-on-one against a defender, and he decided to take him on because he said in his interview that he's very comfortable with one-on-ones, and he put in a sublime cross for Giroud to actually finish it really well. So I think Callum Hudson-Odoi is ready for Premier League action now. Don't look at his age, look at the performances that he's been putting in. He's been assisting or scoring in almost every game that he's started for club and country as well. So I think that he is a generational talent. I mean, I don't think we are going to have a lot of players like him in the academy, even though we are one of the best academies in at least in the Premier League right now. I don't think we do have a lot of players who are playing at the level of Callum Hudson-Odoi, and I don't think we're going to have a lot of players who are going to come in the future who are nearly as good as him. So I think we need to push him. The manager needs to understand that here is a player who could win you matches. Forget the fact that he's 18. Forget the fact that he's not played a lot of games in the past. But you're here to win matches, and that is what you've been signed up for. Your job is under threat, not because you've not been playing youth, but because you've not been able to consolidate the top 4 position. So I think if Hudson-Odoi is getting you that added intensity in the team and the creativity which we've been lacking for a while now, why not play him? I'm pretty sure that if Callum Hudson-Odoi had been starting more games, Alvaro Morata would have been in the team, and we wouldn't have had to loan him out, because in one of the games in the FA Cup he put in 2 assists for him, which were good crosses. So we finally have a winger who can cross, which is very rare in the current modern game, because the scenario has totally changed. Wingers have become all about cutting inside, getting those goals, but there is a player who can do that as well. It's not that he can't do that, but he's equally good at crossing the ball from the right hand side. So I think that I have no words for Callum Hudson-Odoi. I'm absolutely ecstatic that he's been getting a run in the game, and you could see that the Chelsea crowd was equally motivated. They were really chanting, and the crowd in the previous games was a little, I don't know, it was a little silent. A lot of people on Twitter were talking about boycotting games, season ticket holders we're talking about. So I think it was a very good shift in the enthusiasm in the crowd, and I think that it was the infusion of these young players what led to it. Now, enough on Callum Hudson-Odoi. I can go on for hours and days talking about him, because I think that he is that talented. But another player that I'm a big fan of is Ruben-Loftus Cheek. Again, I think that physically and the agility that he has is second to none in the Premier League. Not only at Chelsea, in the Premier League, you don't have a combination of that physical prowess and the agility that he has. And one more thing which was really underrated about him is his goal scoring ability. I don't think a lot of Chelsea managers, or even Roy Hodgson for that matter, was able to extract the kind of goal scoring abilities that Sarri has been able to do. So when people criticize Sarri for a lot of wrong things, I think they have to give him credit for getting that goal scoring instinct out of Ruben-Loftus Cheek, especially in the position that he plays, the left central midfield. He's supposed to be sort of an attacking midfielder who can also track back at times. So he's perfect for that position, because defensively he's strong and he can put in those tackles, and offensively he's a beast. I mean, he can go past players, he can take long shots, and the finish was absolutely, I mean, if you could play Ross Barkley in place of him, I think that is criminal at this point of time, because Ross Barkley hasn't been any good. He hasn't been performing to the level that he was for England. So I think it's very important that Ruben-Loftus Cheek gets a continuous run, and it's very important that he gets to express himself, because he's a brilliant midfielder. He's a brilliant asset on set pieces, because he can also score headers and he can also defend, for that matter, because Chelsea have been poor defending a lot of corners this season and a lot of set pieces. So I think that Ruben is someone I really admire. I think that he has the attributes of Michael Ballack, as well as the attributes of a winger who can get past players. So that is something which is unparalleled, and I think we need to harness the potential that this guy has, and we need to give him a continuous run in. He's already gone to the World Cup squad, so that speaks volumes, and I do think that he's much better than the likes of, I mean, it may sound a little weird in the fact that I'm comparing him to a player like Dele Alli, who's sort of proven himself in the Premier League, but I think that the physical attributes and the game that Ruben-Loftus Cheek has, I think he can sort of take away his place from the starting 11 come the next Euros. So I honestly believe in him, and I think that the Chelsea board believe in him as well. It's just that the manager needs to believe in him. He's got rid of his niggles that he was suffering for a long time, and he looks fit. He looks he looks like he can last 90 minutes, and there is no reason why he shouldn't play week in, week out. And he's very important to this team, because we have no player like him who could actually score the kind of goals that he's scoring, as well as provide the physical strength. And I think the reason why we've been lacking and why Chelsea haven't been able to replicate the Napoli game is because that they had Marek Hamsik in that position playing for them, who scores a lot of goals. He used to score 10 more. He used to score goals in double figures almost every season. I don't see another Chelsea player who's capable of doing that. Ruben-Loftus Cheek might just reach double figures, and he's not even played 1,000 minutes of football all season. So that is the kind of player we're talking about, and that is why I think that Ruben-Loftus Cheek, just for his goal scoring ability and his impact on the game, should be playing for Chelsea. Third player, again, I mean, I think he's one of the most underrated academy players that we have. We've been talking so much about Ethan Ampadu as well. We've been talking so much about the likes of Hudson-Odoi, Ruben-Loftus Cheek, but Andreas Christensen is someone who doesn't get a mention in all of this, because I think he started a large number of games last season, and we don't really consider him to be an academy player because he's not English. But the deal is, he is one of our own, and he is a player who's grown tremendously. He played a lot of games last season. He has that experience under him. He's already played 2 seasons in the Champions League, one with Mönchengladbach and the other one with Chelsea. So he's not a player who lacks a lot of experience. I think amongst our academy players, he's the most experienced player, and that shows. I think in a lot of games which he's played for the past 5-6 weeks, a lot of Europa League games and the odd Premier League game, I think he's been really solid, and he's looked unnerved by what's happening around him. There are games wherein Chelsea are on the back foot, and they do concede a lot of chances, but he's been solid whenever the whenever the ball comes in his direction. So I think it is very important that we understand what we have at our hand and not look outside for players like Romagnoli or a Koulibaly. I know Koulibaly is really good, he's a world class player, but we have Andreas Christensen. Why spend 130 million and sort of lead to why call upon financial fair play bans on us? Because I don't think we can afford it at this point of time, especially with the lack of Champions League football. So I think we need to harness the potential that we have at our club. There's Ethan Ampadu, who's barely got a look in, and I'm hoping that by the beginning of next season he starts getting a decent amount of games, and he is like the backup to N'Golo Kante or to Andreas Christensen at centre back, because he's equally good in both positions, be it centre back or central defensive midfield. So yeah, that's it. I think we put in a very good performance. Jorginho was really good. Eden Hazard was really good. But I really wanted to focus on the Chelsea youth, because that is what most of us are interested in. And I think that this is the way to go forward, and this is the way we're on the right track. And soon, if everything goes well and these guys continue to play in the starting lineup, I think we have a good chance of finishing in the top 4. Because I mean, let's be honest, Tottenham are the biggest bottle job on planet Earth, and I do trust them to bottle it again. And I know they did win the game yesterday, but I think we can see them losing a couple of matches in the near future. Alright guys, thank you. I hope you like the video. If at all you have any complaints or something you don't like, please comment. If you like it, comment as well. We would love to know your opinions, and we would love to know if you have a contradicting opinion as well. So thank you so much for bearing with me, and have a great day.